12 terrifying moments when Mother Nature unleashed her fury caught on camera. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Discovery Fact. We're thrilled to have you with us again. Have you ever thought that some of the strangest, funniest, or even most unbelievable moments in the world could be captured using nothing more than a small smartphone? These days, phones are no longer just devices for making calls or sending text messages. They have become incredibly convenient cameras and video recorders, always ready to capture whatever happens around us in an instant. Because of this, countless extraordinary moments are recorded every single day in every corner of the world. Some are hilarious situations that make us burst out laughing immediately. Others are bizarre phenomena that seem like they belong in a movie. And some are so rare and unbelievable that, if they hadn't been caught on camera, it would be hard for anyone to believe they actually happened. What's even more fascinating is that most of these videos weren't filmed by professional cameramen or filmmakers. They were recorded by ordinary people just like us. People who happened to be in the right place at the right time to capture these incredible moments. And sometimes just a few seconds of footage is enough to leave millions of people around the world completely astonished. So today, which moments will surprise you the most? Which one will make you watch it over and over again before believing your own eyes? And which moment will show the terrifying power of Mother Nature when she unleashes her fury? Join Discovery Fact right now as we explore these remarkable and unexpected moments together. Get ready to witness some truly extraordinary scenes that are waiting just ahead. Mysterious mud flood. In July 2020, the official Twitter account of Pima County, Arizona, posted a video showing a mud flood sweeping through the Canada Del Oro Wash area. Footage captured by a surveillance camera showed a thick, dark torrent filled with mud, rocks, gravel, and tree branches rushing across the roadway. This dramatic mud flood occurred after the Bighorn Fire had burned approximately 187 square miles of forest land. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, USGS, wildfires can significantly alter the way rainwater flows across the ground. Under normal conditions, soil is capable of absorbing large amounts of water, which helps prevent flash floods during rainfall. However, after a wildfire, the land loses much of its ability to absorb water effectively. As a result, even relatively small rainstorms can trigger dangerous flash floods. Because of this, mud flows and flash floods are considered some of the most serious hazards that can occur after a wildfire. Information from the California Water Science Center of the USGS indicates that as little as 0.28 inches of rainfall within 30 minutes can be enough to generate a mud flow. A similar disaster occurred in 2018 when landslides and mud flows struck areas affected by the Thomas Fire. The event claimed the lives of 13 people in 2 California towns, highlighting just how deadly these post-wildfire disasters can be. Volcanic lightning storm, Italy. Mount erupted violently, unexpectedly producing spectacular lightning flashes in the skies over the eastern side of the island of Sicily. According to Italy's National Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology, INGV, the eruption occurred just before midnight on February 10th and did not cause any damage. However, it blasted a massive ash plume approximately 6.2 miles into the atmosphere. Etna is one of the most active volcanoes in Europe, but eruptions of this intensity are relatively uncommon. Volcanic storms accompanied by lightning have been observed at Etna only a few times, including in 2015 and 2021. According to Adam Varble, a storm researcher at the Pacific Northwest National Laboratory, both volcanic lightning and lightning within thunderclouds are formed through collisions between particles. However, unlike ordinary thunderstorms, where ice particles are responsible for generating electrical charges, volcanic lightning is created by particles of magma and, in some cases, ice. The collision and fragmentation of rocks and volcanic ash generate static electricity within the volcanic plume, leading to a phenomena known as a dirty thunderstorm. Convective moisture and ice formation can further enhance eruption dynamics and help trigger volcanic lightning. Unlike conventional thunderstorms, volcanic lightning can even occur before any ice crystals have formed within the ash cloud. INGV researcher Boris Benke added that this rare phenomenon is more commonly observed at volcanoes located near the sea. Mount Etna is situated along the eastern coast of Sicily in the central Mediterranean Sea. Standing at approximately 11,014 feet tall and covering an area of about 459 square miles, the volcano's immense size and coastal location helped create the conditions that triggered this remarkable volcanic lightning storm. Fire tornado, a rare natural phenomenon in Australia. An extremely rare natural phenomenon, a fire tornado standing approximately 98 feet tall, was observed on September 11th near Alice Springs, Australia. According to Mark Wysocki, a professor of meteorology at Cornell University and the New York State climatologist, these rotating columns of fire are more similar to dust devils than to actual tornadoes. However, the term fire tornado tends to attract more attention. Like the dust devils commonly seen on sunny days in the deserts of the American Southwest, fire whirls form when an unusually hot patch of ground releases a rising column of heated air. The difference is that while dust devils draw their energy from the sun-heated surface, fire whirls are fueled by intense heat generated by wildfires. Wysocki explained, "These columns of hot air form in a very small area on the ground. They begin rising rapidly while pulling in surrounding air much like a vacuum cleaner. As this process continues, the air starts twisting together, creating what looks like a tornado. As the rotating column grows taller and draws flames upward with it, its diameter begins to shrink while its rotational speed increases. This process is similar to a figure skater pulling in their arms and legs to spin faster. Although people rarely witness this unusual phenomenon, it is actually more common than many realize. Because fire whirls typically form in the heart of intense wildfires, they are not easily observed. Wysocki estimates that, on average, a fire tornado can expand to a diameter of about 98 feet in the air, rotate at speeds exceeding 22 miles per hour, and disappear within about a minute of forming. Unusual tsunami-like waves strike the coast of Odessa. June 27, 2014 began as a beautiful day along the Black Sea coast in Odessa, Ukraine. Dozens of people were sunbathing on the beach when, without warning, a 10-foot wave surged toward the shore. The wave pushed dozens of yards inland, sweeping away everything in its path. As the water retreated, it dragged more than a dozen people back toward the sea. Fortunately, rescue teams managed to save a total of 15 people, including 4 children. 2 adults were hospitalized with injuries. In the aftermath, the beach looked like a disaster zone with lounge chairs scattered everywhere, broken or knocked over by the force of the water. When powerful waves travel across open water, they can sometimes create a wall of water known as a meteotsunami, a rare event capable of causing significant damage along coastlines. These events are difficult to predict and can range from very small, almost undetectable waves to much larger ones capable of flooding coastal areas. At first glance, the incident appeared to be a tsunami. However, no actual tsunami had occurred. Local seismic monitoring centers detected no earthquake activity that could have generated such large waves. So what caused this phenomenon? Ocean waves can also be produced by meteorite impacts. However, if a meteorite had struck the seafloor at that moment, seismic instruments would have recorded the resulting vibrations. No such signals were detected. This also ruled out another theory suggested by some observers, that an unexploded World War II bomb on the seabed had suddenly detonated. Some people even speculated that waves of this size could only have been caused by an atomic bomb, but there was no evidence to support that claim. Experts proposed 2 possible explanations. The first was movement of the seabed itself. The second, and more likely explanation, was a phenomenon known as a meteotsunami or meteorological tsunami. In reality, a meteotsunami differs from a traditional tsunami only in the way it forms. A conventional tsunami is usually triggered by a powerful underwater earthquake. A meteotsunami, on the other hand, develops when a fast-moving low-pressure system travels across the sea. The resulting waves strike the shoreline at a characteristic frequency, then reflect back toward their source before returning to the coast again. The process is similar to pushing a bowl full of water back and forth. The waves repeatedly bounce between boundaries, and under the right conditions, their height can continue to increase. A meteotsunami can last anywhere from 3 minutes to several hours, depending on the strength of the low-pressure system or thunderstorm complex and the speed at which it moves. Hundreds of landslides across Central America in 1998. In October 1998, Central America faced a devastating natural disaster when Hurricane Mitch struck the region. Recognized as one of the most powerful tropical cyclones in history, the storm unleashed relentless rainfall for several days, triggering hundreds of major landslides across countries including Honduras, Guatemala, Nicaragua, and El Salvador. Hurricane Mitch intensified into a Category 5 hurricane on October 26, 1998. The continuous heavy rainfall saturated the ground, weakening soil stability and causing massive landslides. These landslides devastated transportation networks, destroyed homes, and resulted in enormous losses of life and property. Honduras was among the hardest hit countries, with hundreds of villages buried beneath mud and rock. In Guatemala, landslides destroyed numerous residential areas and left thousands of people living under emergency conditions. Nicaragua and El Salvador also suffered severe impacts as landslides damaged critical infrastructure and put countless lives at risk. In total, approximately 10,000 people lost their lives in the disaster, while millions more were affected by the loss of homes and livelihoods. More than 2 million people were displaced, and tens of thousands struggled to gain access to food and medical care. Emergency relief and recovery efforts were launched with support from the international community, but rebuilding and restoring the affected regions took many years. The disaster left behind by Hurricane Mitch remains a powerful reminder of the importance of disaster preparedness and mitigation. It also highlighted the critical need for improved early warning systems and emergency response plans, especially as severe storms and flooding continue to occur with increasing frequency in many parts of the world today. The devastating 2008 earthquake in China. On May 12, 2008, a powerful magnitude 7.9 earthquake struck Sichuan Province, China, causing one of the most devastating natural disasters in the region's history. The epicenter of the earthquake was located near the city of Chengdu, but its effects were felt across a vast surrounding area. The destruction caused by the quake resulted in the deaths of more than 18,000 people, while the number of injured was estimated to be in the tens of thousands. In addition to destroying millions of homes, the earthquake triggered numerous massive landslides. These landslides blocked rivers and created natural dams that posed a serious risk of collapse, threatening to cause even more destruction. Mountainous regions and remote villages were particularly hard hit, making rescue operations extremely challenging. A state of emergency was declared, and rescue teams, including military personnel and international relief organizations, were mobilized to assist those affected. However, they faced harsh terrain and severe damage to transportation infrastructure, which greatly complicated rescue efforts. As a result, many people remained trapped beneath collapsed buildings and debris and could not be rescued immediately. This led to countless tragic outcomes that remain difficult to forget even today whenever people recall the disaster of 2008. The devastating 1556 Shanxi earthquake in China. We've looked back at many earthquakes and landslides that have occurred in recent years, but do you know which earthquake is considered the most catastrophic and deadliest in human history? It was the 1556 Shanxi earthquake in China. According to historical records, the earthquake struck on January 23, 1556. It is estimated to have reached a magnitude of 8.0, unleashing unimaginable destruction and claiming the lives of approximately 830,000 people, an unprecedented death toll in the history of recorded earthquakes. At the time, in Huaxian County in Shanxi Province, nearly every home collapsed. More than half of the area's residents lost their lives, and the number of victims in Huaxian alone is estimated to have reached tens of thousands. The devastation was not limited to Huaxian. The cities of Huainan and Huaiyin suffered a similar fate, experiencing widespread destruction and enormous loss of life. The earthquake tore massive cracks across the ground, some of them reaching depths of more than 59 feet. The destruction extended across a radius of approximately 311 miles from the epicenter, while the effects of the disaster were felt across an area spanning more than 309 square miles. In addition to the collapse of buildings, numerous landslides further increased the death toll. Historians believe that one of the main reasons for such an extraordinarily high number of casualties was that the infrastructure of the time was simply incapable of withstanding an earthquake of such tremendous force. Buildings were not constructed to resist major seismic activity, and early warning systems did not exist, which greatly amplified the scale of the tragedy. This disaster serves as a powerful reminder that life can be unpredictable. No one can know what tomorrow may bring. The story of the 1556 Shanxi earthquake highlights just how fragile human life can be in the face of nature's immense power. The 2021 landslide disaster in Japan. At approximately 10:30 a.m. local time on July 3, 2021, the famous resort city of Atami, located southwest of Tokyo, Japan, was struck by a devastating landslide after several days of heavy rainfall. Footage from local television stations showed torrents of mud and debris sweeping away homes and vehicles while residents rushed to flee the danger. One witness, the head priest of a temple near the disaster site, recalled, "I heard a terrifying sound and saw mud rushing down the hillside as rescue workers urged people to evacuate. I ran to higher ground. When I came back, the houses and cars in front of the temple were gone." In response, police officers, firefighters, and 150 members of the Japan Self-Defense Forces were deployed to assist with rescue operations. Authorities announced that search and rescue efforts would be suspended overnight and resume the following morning. Atami Mayor Sakai Saito stated that as many as 300 households were directly affected by the landslide. By 2 p.m. that same day, approximately 2,830 households in the city had lost power, while 21,000 households were ordered to evacuate after local authorities issued their highest-level disaster warning. Masaru Issei, a 70-year-old resident who lives near the landslide area, said, "I've lived here for about 60 years, and this is the first time I've ever experienced anything like this." Japan was in the midst of its annual rainy season, which frequently brings flooding and landslides. In recent years, climate change has intensified these weather-related disasters. In 2018, severe flooding and landslides claimed the lives of more than 200 people, and dozens more were killed the following year as rescue efforts were complicated by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Atami landslide serves as another stark reminder of how vulnerable communities can be to extreme weather events and the growing challenges posed by a changing climate. The Vesuvius disaster, the overnight destruction of one of ancient Rome's most luxurious cities. Pompeii, a prosperous city on the coast of the Mediterranean Sea, flourished during the Roman Empire more than 2,000 years ago. With a population of approximately 20,000 people, Pompeii was an important economic center thanks to its fertile land and valuable agricultural products, particularly olive oil and grapes. The city was located less than 6.2 miles from Mount Vesuvius, whose volcanic activity had enriched the surrounding soil with high levels of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. These nutrient-rich deposits allowed crops to thrive, enabling Pompeii to build a prosperous agricultural and commercial economy. As a result, the city became a major trading and transportation hub along the Mediterranean coast as early as the 2nd century BC. Pompeii attracted wealthy nobles and merchants seeking luxury and entertainment. The city was famous for its taverns, wine houses, and erotic frescoes. During its peak, Pompeii was home to as many as 25 brothels, reflecting both the wealth and the indulgent lifestyle of many of its residents. However, at the beginning of the 1st century AD, Pompeii and neighboring cities were shaken by a major earthquake. The true catastrophe arrived on August 24, AD 79, when Mount Vesuvius erupted with devastating force. In a single night, Pompeii was buried beneath nearly 66 feet of ash and volcanic debris. A towering cloud of rock fragments, ash, and volcanic gases rose as high as 20.5 miles into the atmosphere. At the same time, volcanic material surged at speeds of up to 450 miles per hour, with temperatures approaching 1,832 degrees Fahrenheit. The city was rapidly overwhelmed and destroyed. More than 2,000 people lost their lives in the disaster. One reason so many residents failed to react in time was that Mount Vesuvius had been dormant for approximately 1,800 years, leading the population to believe it posed no threat. The catastrophe has often been described as a prelude to the end of the world, as Pompeii disappeared beneath layers of ash and volcanic deposits. One of the clearest pieces of evidence left behind by the disaster was discovered centuries later when archaeologists uncovered hollow cavities in the hardened ash. These cavities were formed where victims had died in various positions after being exposed to extreme heat. The findings suggest that many people died so quickly that they experienced little prolonged suffering. Research conducted by paleopathologist Pier Paolo Petrone indicates that the primary cause of death among Pompeii's residents was the intense heat generated by the eruption. Studies suggest that the human body was affected almost instantly by the extreme temperatures, causing rapid death before victims could even react or attempt to protect themselves. Pompeii remained forgotten for centuries until excavations began in 1738. Today, the ruins of the city stand as one of the world's most remarkable archaeological sites and have been recognized as part of a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1997. The eruption of Laki volcano and the unusual deaths it caused in England. Located in Iceland, the Laki volcano erupted violently from June 1783 to February 1784, creating one of the longest and most devastating volcanic events in European history. Lasting for approximately 8 months, the eruption released an estimated 122 million tons of sulfur dioxide, SO2, along with large quantities of other toxic gases. The steam, ash, and volcanic emissions produced by the eruption blanketed Iceland and spread across surrounding regions, causing severe consequences not only in Iceland but throughout much of Europe. In Iceland, the effects of the Laki eruption were catastrophic. Approximately 9,000 people, about 1/4 of the island's population at the time, died as a result of toxic gases, food shortages, and disease. The harmful emissions polluted the atmosphere and created a dense haze that reduced sunlight and posed serious health risks to the population. The toxic cloud devastated agriculture, leading to widespread crop failures and a severe famine that claimed countless lives. The eruption's impact extended far beyond Iceland. Scientists and climate researchers have documented significant climatic changes across Europe during the summer of 1783 and the winter of 1784. During the summer of 1783, temperatures in many parts of Europe rose to unusually high levels, while the winter of 1784 became exceptionally cold. This dramatic contrast between the two seasons is believed to have been one of the consequences of the vast cloud of volcanic gases released by Laki. In England, recent studies suggest that the volcanic haze from Laki may have contributed to the deaths of more than 10,000 people. At the same time, climate disruptions and unusual weather patterns caused significant agricultural and ecological damage, further worsening the crisis. The Laki eruption remains one of history's most striking examples of how a volcanic event in one country can have far-reaching consequences across an entire continent, affecting public health, agriculture, weather patterns, and human survival on a massive scale. Massive boulder falls from a mountain and nearly crushes a moving car. A dramatic incident in which a massive boulder suddenly rolled down a mountain road and nearly struck a moving car was captured on video on August 24th in Yibin. In the footage, a car is traveling along the roadway when a huge boulder unexpectedly crashes down onto the road ahead. Moments later, additional rocks can be seen continuing to tumble down the mountainside. Realizing the danger, the driver, identified only by his surname Lee, quickly reversed his vehicle in an attempt to escape. Lee later explained that although he regularly travels this route for work, he had never encountered falling rocks there before. The sudden incident left him badly shaken. He said he waited for about 30 minutes until the rain stopped and the road ahead appeared safe before continuing his journey. After the video was posted on social media, it quickly attracted widespread attention. Many viewers admitted that the footage was heart-stopping, as the enormous boulder came frighteningly close to hitting the vehicle. The incident serves as a reminder of how unpredictable mountain roads can be, especially during rainy weather, when landslides and falling rocks can occur with little or no warning. Dear viewers, those were some of the most terrifying and awe-inspiring moments of nature's fury ever caught on camera from around the world. Each scene not only brought a sense of surprise, but also reminded us that our world is filled with extraordinary wonders, and sometimes unexpected dangers waiting to be discovered. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any of our upcoming adventures and fascinating discoveries. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again on the next exciting journey with Discovery Fact. Until then, stay curious and take care.